Good afternoon, and this is Thiossane West African Dance Institute. I am Susan Bradford Kunta, the director, and I have with me lifetime members, Ms. Jordan Harris, and also Ms. Kiana Simpson. We are just elated to be a part of the Women and Girls Fest. Thank you, Dr. E, for including us in this empowerment session for girls and women. We know how important it is to strengthen them and to arm them and to give them abundant love and guidance. So we're going to do a presentation for you today to talk about traditional learning that represents our culture through African dance and music. So we'll just ask Jordan to give us a little information on what she shared about her traditional upbringing. Jordan?
So I've been doing African dance for 17 years now. I started when I was 3 years old, and being a part of Gen Z and also dancing in traditional West African dance allowed me to balance my life with being prepared for any situation and also just being able to have fun.
Great. Kiana?
Being a member of Thiossane and just learning traditional West African dance has instilled in me many values in which I was able to carry into adulthood and with me now that I also can use in the upbringing of my own children. Things of adaptability and having excellence in all that you do, just a lot of deep-rooted things that when instilled in the youth can really be helpful in adulthood, and that's what we give to our children today.
Great. So this actually is our 20th anniversary for Thiossane Institute. It is the parent company for many other programs that we do in the community, in the Columbus community, through community dances for children and adults. We also do in-school and after-school programming, and of course we travel throughout the state and have just returned from our trip to West Africa. We can give you that information more in a little bit during our program. But traditional learning is very important. We know that the culture is rich with values, rich with order, rich with structure. And so this dance that we're going to present to you with our junior company is about that respect, is about acknowledging elders when you enter a space, being appropriate in behavior, and that kind of thing. So this is a dance that we do with all of our young people in our classes, and now we want to present that to you. This is called Nyaka, and it's from the Jola people of Casamance, which is the southern Senegal region. Thank you. hoped you enjoyed that rendition of Inyaka. So you see the bending down, the clapping, the pushback, all of those things mean that they have their first introduction to being a part of the family and the community. And of course, just laced with much respect for everyone in that communal space. So one of the other things that we talk about with traditional learning on there is about Fedakotaba. You want to talk about Fedakotaba a bit?
Fedakotaba is a transition dance for the girl becoming a young woman and just progressing in her life and moving to the next stage.
In many traditional culture and rituals in African dance, there is always a celebration of the transition from one stage to the next. Many call it a rite of passage or rites of passage, and it's done in other cultures as well. In traditional African culture, those things are celebrated through dance, in which oftentimes the initiates, moving from one stage to the next, perform the dance of initiation or their rite of passage. And you can transition quite a few times in your lifetime. So young ages like 5 and 6 to teenage years, and they all kind of celebrate not just moving on age-wise, but also coming into that age, meaning the responsibilities and being a productive member of your household and doing those things like that all come into place. And so as well as being older and that being a great thing, also celebrating or looking at the responsibility of being a member in the household as something to be celebrated as well.
And if I could add to just what Jordan and Kiana are saying, is that when the young people are really immersed and surrounded by this type of structure, it has proven itself and proven this particular protocol and this particular upbringing to be favorable for the young people. Even as they grow in their ages and they are too old to be young and too young to be old, it still gives them a sense of balance of what they've learned as young people. So as they're going through the challenges and transitions, the challenges of their transitions, they still have a loving, caring community, family, group of people that's going to usher them through that challenge with love, acceptance, and belonging, which we know are the basic human needs for humans and to be able to grow. So Jordan, you want to share a little bit more about some of your transitions, because she started when she was 3?
Yes, I started when I was 3, as she said, and I transitioned into the professional company when I was 6 years old. So joining so young, I got to really grow within myself and grow within my dancing as well. And it was very challenging at first, but I learned to just be myself and just grow with other people and work with other people.
Great, great. So this is our 20th anniversary, and again, we're just really excited about all the things that we've done. I know that our initiation program of our high school graduates is at 100% over the last 20 years, being that Kiana was our first graduate during that time, and then also now Jordan just coming off of her initiation 2 years ago. And now we're preparing for our seniors, 3 wonderful and dynamic young women that will be going through their initiation in May of 2021. So we're very excited about that statistic. And I like to say that of that statistic, probably 85 to 90% of them go off to college. And then also a high percentage of that also acquires their master's program and their doctorate program. So we're going to get ready for a little bit, another dance called Fedakotaba, and it talks about that transition, how they're very proud and very ready and confident to move into the next stage. We'll open up with a small cadence from our young women drummers, accompanied by some of the male drummers on that. So here's Fedakotaba. And that was Feta Codava. I'd just like to say too that when we are teaching in the traditional learning and also a traditional foundation, everything that we do engaging the young people is done that way. So even down to their attire, to their dance wardrobe is all from West Africa in the area that we study from the countries of Mali, Senegal, Guinea, of those natures. And so their attire is African, their dance is African, their music is African, their songs are African, and so they're just really, really immersed into that. And it's been my pleasure to offer this program inside of Thiossane Institute to grow and enrich the social and personal development of every young person that comes through this program, and even the young persons and adults. Sometimes that doesn't always get nurtured as we become adults, but we also have our adult classes that can tap into that space. Again, like I just said, we are in our 20th anniversary, and so as we began to prepare for this celebration, we were was able to take a pilgrimage to West Africa December 2019 to January 2020. And I'm glad that Jordan and Kiana is here with me to talk about their different experiences of actually going to the continent and finding their similarities of what we do here in America, and also finding the validation of what they've been learning. I'll let Kiana go first as she went to Senegal twice. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So my first pilgrimage to Senegal, I was 15. And I was in that moment where we all think we know everything as a youth. And that trip really taught me how to settle into being exactly what I was, which was a teenager, and understanding that there are rules and expectations for a reason. They help to guide you and set you forth and put you on the right foot as you move forward. And understanding that as a teen, you may not always agree with all of those. Being able to be there and see how the children move with just ease, and how their placement inside of their household and inside of their society was respected and understood, as long as they were moving in it as they should be. And it really gave me an understanding that for myself, that's all I was missing, was just understanding that there was a place for me, and while I couldn't do everything, those things that were afforded to me were going to be very beneficial to me. And so that was great. So when I went back earlier this year, it was a totally different lens. I was not a young adult, but a full adult, being 38. Not only that, but I was also a mother. So a mother of two, and I think seeing it through those eyes really helped validate my first trip, and the understanding that I took away with that, with just being firmly rooted in who I was, continue to keep that self-confidence, understanding that the rules and regulations set me forth for such success later on in life, and then being able to just kind of be in that space there the second time as a mom, just kind of reiterated for me that I did the right thing, that I was on the right path, that what I took away from me did help me be where I am today, which is back on the continent, back inside of my roots, still self-confident about who I am and how I turned out, and remembering to instill those same rules and regulations with my children so that they can hopefully get that same outcome and that feeling of self-worth and self-confidence that was so firmly instilled in me on my trip there and my second trip as well.
Kiana, if I could just ask if you could run through your dance career and where this traditional training in dance and culture has landed you now. If you could run through, you started at 6, and maybe just take us through those 30 years real quick.
Yes, absolutely. So just as she said, started at 6. I really did not want to be left behind, as some of the older ones went to African dance practice, mostly because I just loved dance, period. I think I was rhythmic since birth, probably, and got to get into the company, and I loved all my years there. Initiated and graduated at 18 in the year 2000. Went on to Norfolk State University, where I danced with the band Hot Ice, and I also danced in dance theater under the direction of Inez Howard, which is also Miss Susan's dance director when she was there at Norfolk State. So that was just an amazing feeling to learn from your dance teacher's dance teacher, if that makes sense. Great time there. I actually started doing some backup work. So I danced behind R&B group Blackstreet, did some openings for Sean P. Diddy Combs, for 50 Cent as a rapper, a couple others, opened up for the Clips and danced back up for the Clips, Pharrell Williams, Usher concert, a couple other things, which were fantastic. Went on a Tom Joyner cruise as well. But I think in the end, when I came home, I got right back into African dance, where it was always home base for me, which also gave me a lot of training and technique that actually allowed me to move through these other forms of dance, and just loved it. Came right back, started teaching in community classes, which is basically where I started, so working with the youth there, the teenagers, and recently, which have been absolutely amazing, I got into Ohio State University's Department of Dance to obtain my master's in dance, and they're doing a lot of work with incorporating the movement of the African diaspora, so I feel like somehow the universe just converged to put it all together for me to be someone who started in the movement of the African diaspora and then be in such a highly collegiate level university where that is their focus at this point. So just an amazing journey from start and nowhere near finish, I hope.
Great, thank you, Kiana. And this is just an example of some of the products of these young people who come through. As Jordan was speaking, she started at 3, was probably the youngest one at that time, but emerged into that because of her innate ability to absorb and to reciprocate and to learn. And so she's a very good kinesthetic learner. So she moved into the company earlier than others because she had been around that space. So Jordan, if you could talk a little bit about your experience in Africa and what it did for you, and a little bit about your poetry.
Okay. So it was my first time going to Africa. I had been wanting to go since I was around 8 years old, and again, I just feel like it was just the universe placing me. It wasn't my time to go. And I did go when I was 19, and just being there gave me a new sense of belonging, a new sense of my confidence, and it just gave me a freedom that I didn't really experience here. And now that it's really instilled in me since our trip, it's just kind of something I carry wherever I go. And my poetry, I started writing poetry when I was 12 years old, and I put my first piece on stage when I was 16, called Sisters of a Young Black Nation, and at the time I didn't really see the importance of that, but now that I'm getting older, I'll be 21 in May, I've found myself growing again in my confidence in myself and who I am, and so now I have written a new poem that's actually going to be a part of this conference, called Here Lies, and it's just a poem about Black women and how they're underappreciated in America and just in society in general. And so, yeah.
Okay, great. And we are encouraged on the talents of all the members, both in our senior company and also in our junior company, to reach out and to begin to give time and energy to their other talents, to create a whole person and have a wholesome experience and be confident about their traditional learning. So our last dance for now will be Manjani, and Manjani is a dance of celebration for all good things in life, from birth to death, and everything that's in between that highlights the richness of our culture. It's important that our children know that their culture did not start from slavery, that it did start from kings and queens of the African diaspora and dynasty coming out of Mali, and the Thiossane Institute is that go-to space for all things African and all things cultural through the arts here. So again, Dr. E, thank you for inviting us, and a good congratulations and a shout out to all the presenters of this festival. And it's been our pleasure, and we are continuing to look at how we can support the Women and Girls Festival. Enjoy Manjani. you.